Okay, so why am I cutting my lawn with a little mower, firstly, and also in different directions and randomly? Well, it's because, firstly, I damaged my rotary again, second time in a week, and also I found that the little cylinder mower, even though it doesn't have enough weight to get down low and actually cut short on one pass, I have to do about 1 million passes to get it short. I've noticed that even when I get very short, the grass doesn't get that scuffed look because the rotary rips the grass as it's cutting, and this little thing is doing the scissor effect. And at the moment I've got this contest with the Bermuda and Kikuyu going on, and so far the Bermuda is starting to green up a lot and it's starting to spread against the ground much better than the Kikuyu, so I'm letting it take over. And one way to do that is to keep the Kikuyu shorter than it likes to be, but I don't want that brownish tinge from when you've really gone too low with the rotary. That look, I don't want it. So I'm busy cutting with this little one at the moment to try and see what I get out of it. And also different directions, just to get the grass to move around a little bit, and also to move longer blades and runners around, or actually get to cut them so that I can get even closer to the little blades that are coming out of the ground and they haven't been trimmed yet. I'm trying to get them just to induce a bit of extra growth there. Anyway, let's see what happens. Just while I'm still in the process of mowing, there's a few other observations that I've picked up with now this Kikuyu versus Bermuda thing. One is that Kikuyu, let's say, upon the start of its growth, it's growing upward, and then if you let it get long, then it gets those long thick runners, and then those runners start to spread, which is like a chunky looking runner, which is not what a lot of people want. So what a lot of guys are giving advice to doing is you keep trimming that Kikuyu short and it spreads. Now Bermuda, on the other hand, spreads much faster than Kikuyu, even when trimmed short, because it sort of comes out of the ground, it gets a little sprout, and then it starts to immediately go horizontally, and its blade is so much smaller and finer that it works that way. It starts to just run much better. So the Kikuyu, that first little bit of growth is actually a bit of a problem, because if you keep trimming that, then you get those brown or those yellowish tinged looking stubs, and that's not so cool. So the ideal thing to do if you've got patchy Kikuyu is let it grow, and versus just this repetitive cutting thing. That is more for Bermuda in my mind, and from my experience now, seeing both in the same place with the same fertilizer, with the same amount of water. Cut Bermuda short to get it to spread. Kikuyu, let it grow for a while, get it up to that 50 or 60 mil length, then keep trimming the tips repeatedly and then bring that level down. Bermuda, you can whack it all in one go, it's not a problem. So Kikuyu, be gentle with it, even though it's an invasive grass. Bermuda, you can be much less gentle with it, and it will keep looking good. If you're aggressive with the Kikuyu, of course it'll grow back, but it looks crap in the interim. And also I do think it's important to note two differences that I picked up here as well. One is that the Bermuda needs much less water than the Kikuyu to get going, but the Kikuyu needs much less fertilizer than the Bermuda to get going. So the Bermuda has to have that boost to really take off, but it doesn't need, I'm talking it needs half the amount of water than Kikuyu does to really grow. Kikuyu, I started pulling it out of winter with just water first, then a bit of fertilizer, and it was basic stuff, and then the Kikuyu started to get going. Only when I started putting down the hardtack fertilizers, then the Bermuda really started to take. So either it's that Bermuda does much worse with frost than Kikuyu does, which I think it's actually known to be, or that it just needs much more or better fertilizing regime, because remember behind me here, up until August, hadn't had fertilizer or practically anything done to it besides mowing for literally years and years and years. With me it was at least a year, and I've been in the house 2 years, so yeah. Previous owner said to me he never did anything in this backyard, only ever in the front yard. So yeah, this is something for us to learn about. Also, hang on till after I finish mowing. I'm going to take you to the front yard and show you two cool experiments that I've done for weed control, and also to get alem to spread into areas where it's looking a little bit patchy as well. Okay, so it's looking quite nice. That's just the first sort of rough pass. I'm going to go over this sort of main area from top to bottom repeatedly now and try and get it down. I don't know if I've asked this before in other videos, but am I the only one where straight after you've mowed a strip, your dog comes and turds right there where you've mowed? Is it just me? And then also secondly, these cylinder mowers are not fun when you do end up riding over a dog turd, because unlike a rotary which just gets scooped and put into the bin, this thing flicks all up into your legs. So let me know if I'm the only one that happens to, but yeah, I don't like it when my dogs have turned on like this perfect piece of lawn. It's just rubs me the wrong way. Side of the yard. I must say, for those of you who think that your Kikuyu can't grow in shade, you couldn't be more wrong. It absolutely can. And the reason that I say that is, if you look behind me, this shade in my yard is here for more than half the day, every day, and in summer. And I think my grass here is better than up there in full sun. In the full sun, it's exposed to more frost and obviously more sun, so it has more frost type related stress and more heat related stress. So it is actually not wrong or not bad for Kikuyu to be in shade. But I do believe that the thing that is causing you trouble with your Kikuyu in the shade is the trees, not the shade caused by the trees themselves. I think that it is sapping more nutrition from the soil for itself. So the trees that are here are sapping up all the water, and they're sapping up all the nutritional value that's in the ground that your grass wants. So what you need to do is fertilize more heavily in these areas. If you're a top dressing type guy, top dress more heavily in those areas, and of course cut a little bit taller. And the reason that I say that even further is, if you look here, only about 2 meters is alum, and that alum is all mixed with Kikuyu now. About a month ago it wasn't like that, and that is Kikuyu, and it used to just be Kikuyu and like a little bit of alum. Now the Bermuda goes from top all the way up past this down to the bottom of the yard. Don't mind that little dead area of mine, I'm going to clean that out still, and it's actually going to become lawn. But Kikuyu in the shade, no problem whatsoever. It is just the nutritional value. You need to keep it up, you need to keep watering under the trees so that you can feed the trees and the grass. So yeah, keep that in mind. And yeah, grass is looking very good. Okay, I just want to show you what I've done in front. Okay, this little test area I don't show very often, but I want to show you what I've been doing here. This is a patch that I tested with hot water to get rid of weeds, a bunch of broadleaf weeds, clover and all that. That was a Roundup test. That's a Roundup test. Excuse the noise in the background, my boy is riding his bike. Roundup and hot water. Hot water and hot water. Roundup, lawnmower. So this area here is probably the best example of what I did. It was a massive patch of various broadleaf weeds and clover and wonder lawn and all sorts of junk in here. And it's predominantly Kikuyu. There's a bit of alum in here as well. What I did is I put down the hot water. Instantly the weeds started to shrivel up and die. By that afternoon they were brown. The next day they were crumbly. They were completely disintegrating. You must remember, hot water will sterilize the seed as well. So you must never put hot water down. Kind of like with Roundup, don't put it on anything that you don't want to die, because it probably will die. However, if you look at this, the Kikuyu has recovered. So the rhizome under the ground here did not become that damaged or that boiled that they couldn't come back. They have come back, and this is about a week after it died off. But then if you move over to this area, Roundup, nothing growing back except for a couple of runners, except for more weeds. So there the weeds grow back, no problem. The dead grass stays there. It doesn't disintegrate like it did with the hot water, which is also crappy because now you've actually got to go do a separate cleanup just for that. And then this is alem. Now the alem, that is taking a large strain, so I don't recommend it there. In fact, I don't even recommend it on Kikuyu. What I'm recommending this for is that boiling water is far better for the environment and you, and just your garden's general health. So rather use hot water to get rid of weeds on your paving or on pathways and that kind of thing. Anywhere where you are happy with everything dying, except for succulents, vetplanten. They don't seem to die from hot water. Maybe some do, but not the ones that I tested. But yeah, in a long story short, use hot water rather than any herbicide for getting rid of weeds in paving or pathways or anywhere where you don't want them. It's free, mostly, and you're not doing any damage to the environment, and you are sterilizing whatever seeds were there as well. And that's probably the big thing for the pavings and that, because remember, if stuff like clover grows, the instant you see clover, it's pretty much seeded. And even if you kill the clover, you haven't necessarily killed the seeds unless you put down a pre-emergent for that, and then they just grow back again. If you pour hot water on it, it will kill everything. And I don't know about you, but I've never cooked a vegetable and had it come back to life again afterwards, so it's pretty safe to say that your seed will be sterilized after that. The second little trick that I want to show you, this is alem grass. You can tell it is growing very nicely. I think it's at about 40 mils at the moment and it's happy. Bricks. I think that these runners are growing towards the bricks because of the moisture under the bricks. It works, and it's not the first time I've done this. I've done it in about 5 different yards and multiple times at my old garden. Those bald patches, put a brick or a stepping stone or something like that, a little paver or whatever, in that dead spot. The grass grows towards it, keeps the moisture there, you lift it up and away and it grows closed. And it does so at a rapid rate. You can clearly see those runners are moving towards the bricks. Anyway, hope you guys found that useful and interesting, and we'll catch you again on the next one. Cheers.